Hey everybody, welcome back to the quest for the bestest from Backlog Banner. My name is Timo Nelson. I'm joined by the usual squad. Abram, Tanner, and Tucker are all here talking about a film this week. We spun on the random wheel, as you know. Every week we get that, pull up that wheel, we spin it around, sing the song, and get a number, and we pick the movie. And the wheel for us last time picked Going My Way, directed by Leo McCarey from 1944, starring Bing Crosby, Barry Fitzgerald, Frank McHugh, Gene Lockhart, some other people. I didn't really recognize anyone besides Bing Crosby in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he was definitely the person that they sold it on. So
Yeah.
It was a movie, and I think we're gonna talk about it for at least a little while. But before we do talk about it, let's do some housekeeping. We'll talk about what we did last week. We talked about last week. We're talking about Going My Way this week. Last week, we talked about You Can't Take It With You from 1938, Frank Capra movie, which we really enjoyed. We really liked this movie, and it ranked itself pretty dang high. It got to the 6th place out of 24 movies on our Quest for the Bestest ranked list. If you want to find out and look at the list yourself, you can go to our Letterboxd page and just look up Backlog Banter on Letterboxd. It's the only list on there. It's got links to all the episodes that we talked about, and you can see how other films stack up. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Send us a letter in the mail, and we will read it out loud.
Join our Discord.
That might be a little quicker.
Description of every YouTube video on the Backlog Banter YouTube page. We're tying together all the shameless self promotions here.
all the plugs. And if I may add one more, you don't have to listen to us ramble on about these old movies for that much longer, because this is the penultimate episode before our break, where we do the Quest for the Bestest 2020 edition, where we break down the Best Picture nominees for the 2021 Oscars, 2020 Oscars. I don't know. It's a weird classifier, but we're gonna do all 8 to 10 nominees. That means we might be doing 2 a week. Double the content for your eyes and their new movies. What could be better?
We are taking a break by doubling down.
Yes, we're taking a break by doubling down, and that will be after March 15th when those nominees are announced, until the Oscar ceremony itself. So tune into that.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. We get some new movies. I think a lot of us have seen some of what's in the front running for, there's a couple movies that people have their hopes pinned on for winning, but we're gonna rewatch them. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna rank them like we did for this. Just a little side excursion, just have some fun, break up, get out of the 30s and 40s is what we've been stuck in for a little while now. We'll see what that wheel gives us this time. But today, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about Going My Way. Abram, I always like to hear what you have to say first. Sock it to me.
Clearly, there just weren't that many good films that came out in 1944.
Hey, people were busy with other stuff, namely World War II.
Double Indemnity released this year.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I've heard that's good.
Yeah, sure. So people were preoccupied with the whole World War II thing, right? But then I just don't think that excuses the fact that, for me, Going My Way is not a bad film. It's pretty solid, but it just feels so devoid of anything for me to hold on to.
Yeah.
I was looking for thematic material, and frankly, what I found was pretty evocative of what we talked about last week. But there, and You Can't Take It With You, I thought the themes of, going your own way were conveyed in a more interesting respect, because this film just felt very flat, felt one note. I liked Bing Crosby. I liked some of the more theatrical elements. I liked the chorus. I liked the little kids in the gang. But on the whole, it just felt like this heartwarming story that was just kind of flowery and didn't have much of a punch. So I don't know. I was whelmed.
Yeah. It's a whelming film.
It's a very whelming film.
Tucker,
what do you think?
Tanner, you want to hear my thoughts about it?
I would love to hear your thoughts.
This movie, you know me, I really like watching my movies in one sitting. And this movie failed to hold my attention well enough for me to finish it in one go.
Wow.
It's not a long film either.
It's not a long movie. It's a 2-hour movie. And oh my God, I just was not interested. I was frankly bored. Abrams talked about his, on the list, you got The Last Emperor, and then above The Last Emperor, he wasn't bored, and below The Last Emperor, he was bored. This one goes in the bored category for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that, Abram was touching on the fact that there just is not thematic material here necessarily to grab onto, and honestly, I think that the problem is that there's just not really like there's not really a plot to grab onto. There's like two half plots that are like in the background, but then mostly you're just going between different scenarios with a good old shit. What's his name? Father. Oh God, I didn't write it down.
O'Malley.
Father O'Malley. Yeah, Father O'Malley. Played by Bing Crosby, helping out people around the town that are just kind of loosely tied together. And I think the fact that it is so loosely tied together, and honestly, Father O'Malley not a very interesting character because he's so one note.
Yeah, he's a good guy. That is his character trait, and he can sing. He's got two character traits. He's a good guy, and he can sing.
Yeah, and I think that all just makes us feel super basic, and like it's not long, it's not bad. It's just nothing. Like I have no idea how this won Best Picture. Not only Best Picture, but 7 Oscars. Holy shit!
7 Oscars.
You wanna dive into that segment right now, Tucker? Give us the wins and noms.
Now I'm saving a special set win nom for last.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is a very unique film for one particular reason, and I think Tanner knows it because we watched the.
Oh yeah, true.
But it won Best Picture, it won Best Story, which is a category that no longer exists. Best Actor for Bing Crosby, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, and it was nominated for Best Actor for Father Fitzgibbon, nominated for Film Editing, and also for Black and White Cinematography. However, it also won Supporting Actor for Father Fitzgibbon.
Played by Barry Fitzgerald.
Barry Fitzgerald, played by Father Fitzgibbon, which I got those mixed up when I wrote them down. However, I don't know if you caught what I said. He was nominated for both Supporting Actor and Best Actor.
Wait, what?
That had never happened before, and it never happened since, because the next year they made a rule saying, you can't do that. Not allowed. He got 2 chances to win for the same role.
Yeah.
And he did. He won Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
Okay, the Academy. Well, weird situation. But if I may, Barry Fitzgerald was actually pretty. I maybe liked his acting the most. He was the most character as his kind of codgerly old priest.
What do you go around the church and the little boys? They're bringing me a turkey, and I'm getting real old up under the years there.
Oh, I'd really like to see my mother.
Yeah. Also, I want to add a little bit of Oscars trivia to this. This movie spawned the first sequel to ever be nominated for Best Picture. Because there's a sequel. Yeah, there's a direct sequel to this movie that was also nominated.
Now here's the thing. Actually, here's the catch. Here's the spin. And I don't know exactly how accurate this is. I was just watching some videos related to this film because I was very curious about what people thought about this winning Best Picture, reviews on it in general. But I'm pretty sure the sequel was written first, and they made up a prequel for it.
We watch it. This is the first prequel to win Best Picture.
Yeah, the sequel is based on something I can't remember, or maybe it's not, but it existed, and they were trying to sell it. They were trying to get a Bing Crosby, actor contract signed, and they're like, "Well, you have to make 2 movies with him," and so they whipped up a script for a prequel to the sequel, and that's this.
How bizarre!
This is a weird movie.
And so, we touched on it. It's 44, right in the middle of World War II, or at the end, I guess, not right in the middle, but approaching the end, and so a lot of attention placed elsewhere, in the media landscape, probably. And this film totally ignores. I mean, there's no mention of it. Doesn't even say when it takes place, and so it's maybe a little bit of just a little escapist, in the throes of war.
But I think it's notable that we really haven't talked about the movie itself up until this point in this review.
Well, we talked about the fact that there's not really anything there to grab on.
Well, let's give it the old college try, shall we? The old St. Louis try. Oh. Because Father Chuck O'Malley comes from St. Louis, the college. He's a good-hearted man. He can sing a tune. He carries a tune in his step and a tune in his walk. And he loves helping people out. And then there's the old priest, and the story is very episodic. You can break this down into chunks that really don't have anything to do with each other. There's the chunk with the girl who ran away from home. That's kind of fun. There's the chunk where he has the other lady who performs Carmen for a little bit. That's fun. There's a chunk with the kids, which I think was probably my favorite, just because we get some classic. I don't know what the kid's name was, but he's just, the kid with the long face. He's got a kind of long face, and he's very much like just a 1940s ruffian. He's stealing turkeys from off the back of trucks, and he's like, "Hey, listen here, fellas." My favorite.
Slapping his friend a lot.
Oh, that scene is.
Get a hold of yourself. What are you talking
Holy
about?
shit! I don't even know how he physically did that. Like I reached over and tried to do that to Tanner, and like my hand getting caught in his nose. Like there's a lot of like physics there. Like he was doing that real fast, real quick, real consistently, and that kid was just like.
And it happened. It went over and over and over. You remember I sent the Snapchat of that frame to the group. I said, "How to win an argument in one easy step."
So that scene is really important and emblematic of why this movie feels very vapid to me. That is the scene with the most tension and stakes in the film, which is peculiar because it begins with this idea of the banking world going to war with the church, wanting to foreclose a church for the first time. But then that really doesn't materialize in any kind of way that puts tension on anybody. The church burns down off screen, and then
But that's not really an issue.
They immediately rebuild it. It just the movie, like Tanner said, is episodic, but it's episodic in a way where there's nothing propelling you forward other than the fact that we have to review this movie, so we're going to watch its runtime in its entirety.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the pull was supposed to be, and it just felt very flat.
Well, if we look at the main plot, I guess the through thread is that Bing Crosby's character, Father O'Malley, is actually now in charge of the church. He's put in charge by the bishop, and then, but not
subversively put in charge.
Correct. Not told to keep it under wraps and just kind of let old Father Fitzhugh or whatever his name is, Fitzgibbons, still be there and think he's in charge or whatever, which I think he realizes later, but it's not really made clear. And you talk about the stakes; those stakes are never existed.
Yeah, it's made totally clear because he has like a breakdown and runs away in the rain and then comes back.
And they find him immediately, and he comes back, and then they share a decent scene where he's like, "Oh, I miss me mother, and I hid away some whiskey in behind a book cabinet. It's behind a biography of Ulysses S. Grant."
Yes.
So that's another important sequence, because I was thinking when the film began, there's going to be some kind of tension about, like, in thematic material about the church changing and this younger face coming in to supplant the older guy, and this eventual interpersonal conflict coming to a head when Fitzgibbons realizes what's being done. But then actually he goes to the bishop to get rid of Father O'Malley. He reads between the lines of what happened, comes back, and then that plot thread evaporates.
He has an off-screen realization. It's not on screen. Yeah. We don't get to see him think through it. He just comes back and is like, "I made my choice. Really great writing on the writer's part there to not show us any of that. But
there are two through lines for this. Technically, there is the relationship between Father O'Malley and Father Fitzgibbon, which I think is probably my favorite part of the film. I think the fact that they have a pretty interesting dynamic. Like Abram said, there's a theme there that's set up, and it's not necessarily paid off, but that's an interesting concept. It's an interesting conceit. And then there's also the fact that the church is going to foreclose, and you've got sort of the bank magnate or whatever who just does not really care. He's like, "Well, there's a first time for everything. I'm gonna shut this fucking thing down if they don't pay their goddamn rent." And that doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't impact 80% of the movie.
His son goes to war.
Doesn't wear.
His son goes to war and also dates that runaway girl we saw in the beginning of the movie. And that impacts the story in no way, shape, or form. Am I correct? I fell asleep during that section of the movie, but I just kept forging ahead.
So the one point where things kind of begin to tie together a little bit is when the church has to be rebuilt, and we're collecting money for the church through the choir boys singing, and then the rest of the loan gets paid off by the banking magnate's dad, and then the runaway girl is there. But it feels very much like, oops, we kind of wrote a lot of disparate plot threads, and we need to intersect them really quickly. Which is frustrating.
Did you look at the runtime during that moment? Because it was like 15 minutes left in the movie. And everything comes together and it's like, boom, and then it's done.
We wasted half an hour of this movie on Bing Crosby singing. What are we going to do?
Now, here's the thing. I actually was rewatching our You Can't Take It With You episode because I just like watching BLB content. What can I say? But and we got to the end where we did the spin, got this movie, and Abram and Tanner both had this realization, like, oh, this is a musical. No, it's not. Are you kidding me?
There's not a musical scene until in the first 30 minutes of this movie.
No, but it's not a musical. They're just singing songs because they're having a good fucking time.
Yeah,
like, they're just
really,
chilling.
It's not really a musical as we've come to know the genre. People don't stop and sing songs in the world. It's just literally like, I'm going to sit down at a piano and everyone's going to sing a song with me.
Yeah. And those sequences, unlike what we're used to in
like West Side Story.
No choreography, no interesting camera work whatsoever. It's usually a static shot of him sitting at the piano and playing. Because I mean, clearly the draw here for the time was you get to see Bing Crosby sing, play piano and act a little bit. Yeah. And that's what put butts in seats. But for people in our generation, Bing Crosby not a particularly important figure. And that means that we don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And it just makes those things boring.
To be fair, I will say that the parts of the film where I was most compelled were the parts where Bing Crosby was basically having the gang straight out of like a Mark Twain novel learn to sing in the chorus, which is a compelling plot thread. I like that they'll drop him like a hot potato motif.
Like a hot potato.
There are some fun concepts.
There's some fun 40s mannerisms in this. I just saw that I wrote the kid's name down that I was thinking of in my notes. His name is Tony Scamoni.
Tony Scapone.
What a great name.
Scapone, excuse me. Yeah. Tony Scapone. And he's like, hey, listen here, Fada, my reputation's hanging on you. So don't teach these kids to dance. Don't teach these kids to sing and dance. Take them to a Cubbies game,
Which that happens a couple. He take them to a few baseball games, but we don't see those baseball games, so there's not like actually a moment for them to like bond. The bonding happens off screen, and then they come back and they're just pals. They love singing. All of a sudden, no, Father, let's not go play. Let's sing.
You're mispronouncing. It's Fada.
Fada.
Hey, listen here, Fada. We love to sing, Fada.
I think that's just part of one of my biggest issues with this. Not that the episodes aren't tied together, not that the main plots aren't necessarily followed through, but it's just what they do have, which is a relatively large cast of supporting characters. None of them are very interesting. It's a very uncompelling set of side characters and side stories that aren't tied together. So not only are they not tied together, none of them really grab me in any particular way. And I think that's really unfortunate.
It just needed focus. I think you could have a compelling going my way movie if you said, okay, tension between two priests. We're going to centralize that around this cast of endearing boys. This is going to be the thread of the film.
It's not going to age well, but
it's not going to age well. As I was thinking that as I was saying it out loud, but there would be a more compelling plot there and some better thematic material. Because by the way, the title drop number, I don't really understand how that's supposed to factor into anything really. Okay, Bing, you went your own way. We get it. You know, it needed focus to rein in the plot and the thematic material, because otherwise it's just like
a collection
of nice breeze. The window's open to the breeze coming through. I like a good breeze, right? But yet you shut the window because I'm like, I can't take the breeze for 2 hours. You know, the film just needed a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the film was not like that interesting to watch. But if we were to rewrite it, I think you actually could pull at some threads here. There was a section in the beginning where the old priest and the young priest were talking about where Father O'Malley and Father
Gibbon.
I can't remember it, but where O'Malley and Fitzgibbon are talking, and O'Malley is like maybe gonna hint at why he became a priest, which I think is the element of the going his way that comes out later.
Yeah.
But like it was never really answered, and it was only ever hinted at in the in that sequence where he's like going, you know, I went my way. And so, you know, to rewrite it to be more concise or whatever, or make a more compelling plot thread, that those elements could have been brought in too, to add to it, and then to make him be like, oh, I just love helping out little boys and teaching them how to sing, and that kind of stuff, you know. So there's room, but that room was not used.
I like the turkey bit. the bit about the turkey where he's like, where that it's sort of this prolonged scene, and then Father Fitzgibbon's like, I like that Tony kid. He's a good boy, and the cops always are too hard on those boys. And then
You brought me a
Father
turkey.
O'Malley's
He's a good guy.
You're eating a stolen turkey, and he's like,
Okay, all right. Let's shift gears back a step. Father
Yeah.
Fitzgibbon's incredibly charming character, great
is.
performance, incredible facial expressions. Like his reactions to things are just hilarious. We found ourselves chuckling like almost every time he's on screen because he's just an endearing character. He's a real fun guy.
yeah, I think the scene that I just remembered and laughed out loud at again, remembering, is when Bing Crosby and his friend, I forget what his name was,
Father O'Dowd.
Father O'Dowd, are just like have this back and forth about their college years, and for whatever reason, and I'm thankful they do this, they just decide to hang on Father Fitzgibbon as he's just like. He's just looking at him like just the most puzzled look I've ever seen on a man's face. Just
Mouth hanging open a little bit.
Yeah.
Great shot.
He does have some good physical comedy base, like when he attempts to jump over the bush.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
funny.
That's a great sequence. When he goes to play golf, that's completely unnecessary, but a great sequence.
yeah,
If he does add a degree of life that the rest of the film is definitely lacking.
Well, I think actually, I'm just kind of realizing this. He's really the only realized character. I mean, he has an internal conflict. He has character development where he comes to appreciate the boys, comes to appreciate Father O'Malley, learns about his history in the church, and he has a history where he built the church with his own two hands or whatever. And
he hasn't
he's-
seen his
he's
mom in
interesting.
45 years.
Yeah, he's very interesting. There's a lot of character points there. Unfortunately, our main character that we're following throughout is a bath of warm water. He's just kind of a tepid individual who he's a good guy, yeah, but that's about it.
Speaking of old Mrs. Fitzgibbon, I like that they gave Father Fitzgibbon a Paddington 2 scene towards the end where his mom shows up. I'm like, oh, it's like Paddington 2. I mean, Paddington 2 has
Spoilers. I haven't seen
sorry.
Paddington.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It's the best Wes Anderson movie.
It is.
I thought
It's the
his mom
best
was
Wes
dead.
Anderson movie.
Is that the twist? Did
No,
you
it's
spoil
his
it?
aunt. Excuse me, it's his aunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Great
Oh,
aunt,
God.
Great Aunt Lucy. That's her name.
But you were saying that it's a good. I like that moment. It's a good moment. I
Yeah.
guess it was the realization of Father Fitzgibbon's character, maybe, where he's like, everything, even though maybe all is lost, it's coming together, and he's going to be able to
Yeah.
continue on. But it just doesn't matter for the main character.
And also, main character, not necessarily a compelling ending. He moves away. That's about it.
Yeah, against his own will. He doesn't.
This is a prequel.
Yeah, I guess.
True. Huh.
So weird.
Maybe that's why.
Do you think that in the sequel, the plot point of him breaking a window and giving someone's jewels as collateral is going to come back?
I really hope so.
I really like the most I got out of this film was the Father Fitzgibbon stuff we've talked about, and the just little one-off jokes that I thought were really funny. Like the one, like he's just walking down the street at the beginning of this movie, and there's one guy that's like, "Hey, I'm an atheist."
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, you throw like an atheist, you idiot. On your way, I'm a priest."
There's also like a 4-year-old playing outfield in baseball in the middle of a street, and
Yeah.
he takes over for it. And that's how that whole thing is set up. Like it's so shoehorned in, but it's got those little bits of fun community comedy where he's the father and everyone respects him and wants to get to know him. Even the kids who are just like dicking around and they're like, "All right, father, fucking come join our baseball game."
You
then-
mentioned the comedy of it though. I feel like Abram felt with "You Can't Take It With You," and that it's funny to talk about, but while watching this movie, it was not funny. None of the jokes really landed for me.
Yeah,
I thought they were funny in the moment.
The ones that were
laughed.
like very obvious.
I
were-
laughed at the ones I've brought up, and all the other ones not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
So all 2 or 3 of them that I brought up.
It's a comedy,
that's
not very
about it.
funny. It's a drama without a lot of tension.
It's a musical that's not really
Not a lot of music.
Yeah.
I did wake up though this morning with 3 Blind Mice stuck in my head, so it at least
They
accomplished
sing
that.
Three Blind Mice a lot. In Father Fitzgibbon, apparently that's just like, all right, that's it. That's where I'm
that's his-
drawing the line.
That's his trigger. He really just
Yeah.
can't stand Three Blind Mice.
Three Blind Mice. I draw the line right here. You're out of line, O'Malley. You're having these kids to sing Three Blind Mice. You're out of here. Sorry, you're out of here.
You and your accents.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say? Any closing thoughts on Going My Way? Leo McCarey.
I think we nailed it with that little. It's a movie that has very little and executes on even less.
Damn.
I'll just shorten what Tanner said. It's a movie.
Well,
Certainly is a motion picture.
There you go, Tucker. Send me your vote, please.
Oh shit. Well, I'm just gonna say right here, 25 out of 25, dead last place.
Dead last place. So, well,
Mr. Math.
Mr.
What you
Math,
got?
we actually do have a little bit of a disagreement. We are not in complete agreement here. Tucker, you said 25 out of 25. Abram, you said 24 out of 25, and me and Tanner said 23 out of 25.
Oh no! Whoa, a disagreement.
the bottom three places.
Now here's the thing.
Which averages
Well,
out
actually, we need
to
to find out where. Yeah.
yeah,
where's
that
it?
averages out to 23.75. But I mean, for me that's an elastic number. We can just actually place that wherever we want to go.
I think we
Obviously,
actually could have a discussion about where it goes down there.
Okay, so 23.75. Remind me because I always forget.
20,
That would
20
that's
That'd be-
24.
Yeah.
24th place. Okay, I'd be all right. I'd be all
with
right
only
24th
what
place.
Greg Ziegfeld behind it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think
ooh.
about it though, because maybe I don't know. Was
Great
Great Ziegfeld
Does
less?
has the
boring
production
to me?
design.
Yeah, I'm almost.
Significantly less boring. Are you kidding me? Florence Ziegfeld is a much more interesting character than Father O'Malley.
That is true. That is true.
Had the production design going.
Father Fitzgibbon, although he's not the main character, is an interesting character. I'd say more interesting than Florenz Ziegfeld.
The production design, while not like $4 million scene in this
Yeah.
movie in Going My Way, was pretty good actually. I liked the way some of those interior church, they were very intricate and had very nice backgrounds for them to move around in. They didn't really block it very well. The characters didn't move around in the spaces that were cool, but the spaces were cool nonetheless. So I don't know. This is kind of tough. You've actually
Here's
made
where
me question myself. Did I really enjoy Great Ziegfeld more? I might have.
Here's where I come down on it, right? I believe that, and I'm shocked I'm about to do it, but I believe Here to Eternity is better because I think Here to Eternity has more interesting concepts. Whether or not those pay off, there are interesting ideas that film raises that I don't think Going My Way does.
True.
So I automatically put it down to 24. And then when I look at the Great Ziegfeld, I think both that and Going My Way are flawed in the same ways. They have a lot of unrealized potential. They have a lot of dropped plot threads. They're kind of vapid thematically, and the plots feel kind of episodic or cyclical.
Sure.
But I think the difference is that this film at least values your time a little bit more and has some ideas that are compelling. And frankly, if I'm going on a personal level here, Great Ziegfeld really just didn't value my time. And they were like 15-minute sequences of just nothing happening. And you can argue that this film might have the same problem, but I think there's some more heart here. I think there's some more interesting concepts here, and it's an hour shorter. I just think that the sum of its parts is stronger than the Great Ziegfeld.
I agree with Abram.
I think
24.
I think 24.
Wait, no. Yeah, 24 is a good spot for it.
Yeah.
As the dissenting voice here, I just have to say that when I'm going in looking at one of these Best Picture winning films, I'm looking for there to be something to grab onto that explains why this won Best Picture. And Going My Way is the worst offender for why the fuck did this win Best Picture. We can sit there and spend a good amount of our Great Ziegfeld episode going, okay, look, there's all this crazy stuff going on. There's a reason why this was so important for the time. There's blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure, we didn't like it, but it makes sense why it won Best Picture. I would be amiss to find a handful of reasons this won Best Picture. I really just think that this is less interesting to talk about than Great Ziegfeld. I think it's less interesting from a character's perspective because Father O'Malley is just a much more boring character. He's a more just average Joe than Florence Ziegfeld is, and I think that even though I think that Great Ziegfeld is more boring because Abram's right, it doesn't value your time as much. I think even in those sequences that we didn't like because we found them boring, we respected them. We understood why they were important, why that we were amazed by the production design. There's a lot more to grab onto with Great Ziegfeld and talk about. And that's why that episode is longer. That's why we had a better conversation about its themes and stuff. And this, we were just like, no, nothing there. Nothing to grab onto. Nothing to talk about. Musical without music. Comedy without comedy. Drama without tension.
it does have more heart. See, if I'm putting them side by side, trying to decide which one I'd rather rewatch, it's good.
Sure.
Gun to my head, gun to my balls. I'm gonna rewatch Going My Way.
Yeah, get it over with faster. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think that's necessarily the greatest metric to be ranking best pictures upon.
Well,
We are talking about the bottom of our list.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
of
We're
course.
we're debating between polished turds here.
I do
Did I
feel
present my case well enough for anyone?
I do feel
Yes,
very
that's
I feel very
That's
torn.
a really good point, Tucker. It's a really good
I'm
point.
really torn. Why this decision should not be as hard as it is.
No,
I should
it
I
doesn't
should
matter.
reserve this like mental anguish for thinking about like the top 4.
I will note that
Oh.
The Godfather Part 2 didn't get this much, which is why we had to record a special episode. I will
Yeah.
put that out there. But Tucker, I think you're making good points. Where I would differ is if you're looking at a ratio between realized and unrealized potential, I found that The Great Ziegfeld squandered a lot more potential than this film
Sure.
did. So I
Yeah.
can see where you're coming from about like the ambition of these sequences, but I just think that that's a case where that should have been a swing and a home run, but it was a swing and a foul ball. Let's continue the debate. This film likes baseball, apparently, even though it never shows
That's
us.
true.
This is a swing and a foul ball, but it was only going to be like a base hit. I think that Great Ziegfeld is a more unwieldy, cumbersome, and frustrating movie than this is. So
Yeah,
even though I
thank
think
you.
that ambition is there, I don't think that ambition translates, in my opinion.
I say we go with the number that we got originally. I say we go with 24.
Yeah, it's
24.
totally fine. Again,
Yeah.
we're splitting hairs
Oh
here.
no. Yeah.
So
We're-
we,
yeah, we're
we got to convene a special session of Congress to talk about
Yeah.
the last 24th. Let's call it. And with calling it, let's take a look at the graph. Here it comes. We're gonna get to look at the bottom. I don't think I've made it even like the
Flip
last
that baby around.
flip that
You
baby
gotta make a whole new one. for
Once,
this goddamn movie.
twice, and then we're on the backside. To the from the 20th, the 21st through the 25th now. So here it comes. Going My Way is going right almost to the bottom.
Yeah. Get out of my way. Going my way. How do you like that?
Ah!
Let's just get to the spin.
Let's go to the spin.
All
A
right.
final spin for a few weeks, actually.
Yeah, well, we are going to find out what we're going to talk about, and then we will dive into this year's current films.
Yeah.
Sure.
The nominees for the 2020 Oscars.
Are you ready?
Please be released after 1980. Please be released after 1980.
Give us a good one to start our break on. Come
Yes.
on now.
Come on, please give us something
That would be
new.
nice. Yeah.
Yep.
And here we go. The last time I'll sing.
I'd love a
this.
huge one. I'd like
for
a
a few
controversial one. Something to
I'll
cap
give-
off the segment with.
I'll give Tucker this reprieve. This will also be the last time I sing my wheel song for a few weeks.
All right.
Timo,
3,
spin
2,
that wheel.
1.
Wheel, wheel, what's your deal? Give us a film that makes us squeal. Is it on digital or is it unreal? Wheel, wheel, what's your deal?
Number 40.
Okay.
Well, that's certainly not after 1980. Okay, all right. This is the 1963 Best Picture winner, directed by Tony Richardson, starring. I don't recognize any of these names.
Oh God! Oh no!
Tom Jones.
Oh,
That's the name of the movie?
and
Yeah.
it's called
Tom Jones.
Directed by Tony Richardson.
So this is
Boy,
one
Tom
year
Jones.
after the greatest movie of all time won Best
Yeah.
Picture, Lawrence of Arabia.
Right after
okay.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, it's got
Oh,
it's
God.
got a dreadful
Lawrence of
rating
Arabia
on
and Department
Letterboxd.
back to back. Here's the thing: we've got like 6 bangers right around this, and then this is just in the middle, and we unfortunately hit the fucking nail on the head here.
I would
How
like
long,
to know
how long is it?
I'd like to know that if you search Tom Jones in Google, you get a Welsh singer as the first
Oh
result.
yeah,
Uh,
Tom Jones is
Great.
a well-known singer.
It's just over 2 hours, so it's not ridiculous.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
hey,
It's on
Okay,
Criterion
Tom-
Channel.
Yeah, look at that. Tom loves Sophie and Sophie loves Tom, but Tom and Sophie are of different classes. Can they find a way through the mayhem to be true to love?
no,
We'll find
what
out
a-
next
we're
week.
going to
Hold on.
find out next week.
We're holding on.
This kind of looks like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Literally.
None
Like,
other
they have-
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Like that's from Criterion. I think this is like a Romeo and Juliet retelling.
we
Oh,
will
God.
see, and
How
we
many
will
do we
talk
have
about
in
it.
this goddamn list?
Oh
Quite a
no.
few.
This is our third. This is our third Romeo and Juliet, possibly. Holy shit. Okay, well, you know what? Honestly, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I've been
true.
surprised by films in the past. It is again surrounded by bangers. You got Lawrence of Arabia, My Fair Lady, The Apartment, Ben-Hur, Bridge on the River Kwai. Like it's in good company in that area. So we'll just have to see though, because
it is
This
our
is kinda
duty to watch the
disappointing.
movie in its entirety. It might take us more than one sitting if it's especially boring as it was this week. Hopefully it won't be. We can all hope that it's a good movie because that's just more enjoyable for us and for you if we really get to dive into what makes it so great.
We're just gonna end on a even maybe potentially lower, even a lower note. But then we'll get.
Oh, I
right back
doubt
into
it. I
You think so?
sincerely doubt this is worse than going my way.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
That is the gauntlet that is being thrown down for next week's
Yeah.
episode of The Quest for the Bestest. Reminder, we're going to go on a little break after we talk about Tom Jones, talk about the current Best Picture winners, our little break of regularly scheduled content. There you go, Tucker. And go to the go to talk about this year's, all the good stuff. But we'll be back, of course. We're not going anywhere. We're sticking around. So
Yeah.
if you
We're gonna have twice as many videos every week.
yeah, wow, excellent. If you enjoyed this this episode, make sure to rate it 5 stars. Go onto our YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe. You know, we got to say the things that we got to say because
Yeah.
Join the Discord.
it's the media landscape. Join our Discord. Links are in the description of most everything. It's a pretty fun space. We like to talk about random things. Abram?
If I may add before we leave, if we all get to plug things, we do all this cinephile nonsense, right?
Mhm.
But me, Tucker, and Tanner are in the midst of our into the
Oh.
Snyderverse discussion on our way up to Zack Snyder's Justice League. We made it
Yeah.
through Man of Steel. BVS will be posted very soon. We're on
Yes.
to Justice League, and then
Yes.
the cinematic event of the year very soon.
Oh, well, if we made BLB the channel made it through BVS without being torn apart, will the Snyder Cut be the same deal? You'll just have to wait and see.
Will Zack Snyder be the straw that broke the camel's back? Stay tuned to find out. We will. You will be able to hear it when it happens. That's all for me. Thank you guys for joining me. A discussion of sorts we had this week. We'll try to have. Hopefully, we can have a better one next time with a
Yeah.
better movie. Until then, catch you next time. Peace.
So long.
You know what happens when you assume you can go under the bottom line for financial quarter.
Yeah.
Who's shitting themselves?
All of us, every single one of us.
Every day.
We're talking about a movie this time. We're talking about the movie. Oh fuck! Out of all the things I forgot to pull up, that was the one thing that I forgot to pull
Going
up.
my way.
The title would be an important thing.
No,
to
like
have in the intro.
I usually pull up the